joining me today. We're going to be doing a practice that is geared towards just general stretching and moving and getting that body flowing today. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm in a comfortable seated position today. Soften the eyes, breathing in and breathing out. Go ahead and release the shoulders. Release tension in the rib cage, tension behind the rib cage, releasing all of our stress as we release this tension. Sometimes we hold tension in our muscles, or we hold stress in our muscles. So as we release tension and stretch out the muscles, we almost feel this release of stress. Lengthening the spine and allowing the breath to travel into the body and out of the body without a lot of effort at this time. Relaxing the shoulders, let those arms hang loose. And as we release tension and clenching, again, just feeling the spine growing a little bit taller, a little bit longer, creating some space for the breath. I'd like you to visualize the breath traveling in and out of the body. Visualize a light or a color or particles of the air traveling in through the nose, filling the lungs, being dispersed throughout the body into the muscles, and then being released and traveling out from the nose as well. Allowing this breath to happen naturally. If it starts to be a little softer or a little bit deeper, just letting this happen. Let's take a couple of stretches for our neck, nodding the chin to the chest, lengthening the back of the neck, reaching the chin to the sky, and reaching the chin down to the chest, and back up to the sky, and gazing back down towards the floor. Spine stays nice and tall. Gazing up. Let's nod the chin to the chest one last time. Gently rolling in a quarter circle over towards the right, down to the chest, over towards the left, and down to the chest, making nice gentle half circles, really taking our time through the neck. Half circles. If we feel like we'd like to move in full circles, go ahead and do that, if that feels good. Rolling down to the chest. Let's lift the head, bringing those ears back up over those shoulders, shoulder circles. Spine stays tall, supported by the abdominals, supported by the breath. Fingers rest on top of those shoulders. And we draw big circles out to the sides, starting to feel awakening and awareness spreading through those muscles. One more in this direction. Hands come back down, and let's circle in the opposite direction. Back and up and forward. Noticing any parts of the body need a little extra love tonight. Taking a moment to acknowledge the pain. Acknowledge whatever we need to learn from the negative. Not attaching ourselves. Fingers on top of the shoulders, not attaching ourselves to either the positive or the negative. Just letting each feeling exist. in its time and in its space. And circling back around one more time. And go ahead and rest those arms heavy on those legs. Blink those eyes a few times to let the light back into your eyes. Hands come down beside those hips. And we bend side to side. And we switch. Waking up the side body. Waking up the back. Big breaths. Into the nose and out through the nose. Feel free to play whatever music you like to. And finishing on the left. And coming back to the center. Let's make our way into tabletop position on our hands and knees. Spreading those fingers, planting hands under shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Exhale, round the spine up to the sky. Inhale, start to fill the lungs. Lengthen the spine, gently arching the back down. Opening the heart to the floor. Exhale, squeeze that belly in, start to round. Allow almost a cascade to happen. From the tailbone, then the hips, then the lower back, middle of the back, upper back, neck, and head. And begin releasing. Taking our time. Moving nice and slow. We're in no rush today. Exhale. Just really squeeze all the air out of the body. Inhale, do the opposite. Welcome that breath into the body. Exhale. And inhale. Stretching and lengthening. Exhale, cat pose. Inhale, cow pose. Bringing our spine into a nice neutral position. Let's start to lengthen the right leg back behind us. Try not to lift your hip away from the floor. So really rotate the hip, the knees down to face the mat. Take it back down and left leg switch. Knees, toes, hip facing down. And knee to the floor. And switch. Notice the neck doesn't move, the upper back doesn't move. Everything is supported and strong. One leg lifts, squeezing those glutes and releases. The other leg lifts and we squeeze and we release. Last time, just like this. Now if we'd like to stay with this movement, feel free to stay right here. If we'd like to progress a little bit farther, reach that leg back. Exhale, round the spine, knee to the chest. Almost like we're pushing ourselves a little bit deeper into that cat pose using that knee. And inhale, release. Again, really try to anchor that hip towards the ground. Exhale, knee to the chest. Inhale. You get a much deeper stretch through the back side of the body. If we really squeeze every last drop of the exhale out of the lungs. Imagining maybe a wet rag. And we're really just wringing this wet rag dry. Nice long spine. Exhale. And inhale. 2 more times. See if you can maybe, if pointing the toes helps more or flexing that foot helps more to keep those hips anchored. Let's reach that leg back. And take that leg down to the floor. Switch sides. Left leg reaches back. And exhale, knee to the chest. Squeeze the belly in. Inhale, stretching it back, either pointing the toes or flexing those feet down. Exhale, round that spine. Inhale. And exhale. Try not to overarch the back, but keep that back supported and strong, nice and long. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. We squeeze the breath out of the body. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, starting to warm up, feel a little bit of sweat moving. Inhale, last one, exhale, knee to the chest. And inhale, reach that leg back. And let's take that leg down to the floor. Now we're going to move back into alternating but we're going to add arms. So you can feel free to stay with either of the previous variations instead of progressing to adding just that next level. Want to always move in a way that's supportive and comfortable for your body. I don't ever want you to push yourself too far, but feel free to try something new if you feel open to that tonight. Let's reach that right leg back, left arm forward, palm facing down, knee facing the floor, and that back is protected by those abdominals. Take it back down and switch. Arm and leg reach out from the center and back down. Try not to sink into the shoulder or into the hip. Stay nice and tall, nice and supported, and switch. And back down. And switch. And back down. Alternating side to side. So here we're really strengthening the back muscles. Strengthening those glutes. Evening out the spine. So if you tend to sit or lean more towards the right or the left, this is a great exercise to balance out the spine, help even out any sideways tilting we have going on. Coming back. Last one, reaching out. And coming back. Now we're going to move into balancing table. Feel free to just use the breath and alternate side to side if that feels great for you today. You don't really want to hold pose. For balancing table, we're going to hold our table here with just 2 legs on the floor, arm extended and leg extended behind us. We're going to stay here for about 5 breaths, focusing on the length of the spine from the fingertips all the way down to the feet, either the heels or the toes if we're pointing those toes. Focusing on evening the shoulders, and focusing on evening those hips, and then really just feeling the rhythm and the waves of energy as they move through the body. All those little wiggles happening. And we can curl those toes for a little extra balance here. Shoulders are feeling nice and warm. Hip is feeling nice and warm. And let's go ahead and float back down. We're going to switch sides. Spread those fingers. Left leg, right arm. Stabilize your torso so that lower back has a little bit of support here. The shoulder that was just doing all of the work is now feeling really warm and it has to stay lifted. So let's see how this goes. Breathing in, breathing out, really stabilizing the core. Taking a few more breaths, and again, just feeling the energy drawing in through the palm, traveling down to the shoulder, down to the hip, all the way down through that leg. Inhale, exhale. And we can imagine the energy traveling in the opposite direction as well. Imagine drawing energy up through the feet and then banishing all that negativity out through the hands. Whatever suits us best or helps us visualize this best. Let's float that arm and that leg down. Open up those knees and sit back into child pose. Sit those heels back, or the hips back on the heels. Walk those hands forward. Rest your forehead on the floor. Taking a big breath in. And use the exhale as a vehicle for release. Really let go of that breath. Let go of that stress. Let go of any tension we might be holding on to just from our balancing table exercise. Side out. Let's go ahead and lift the head, looking forward, moving onto our hands and our knees. Bring those hands under those shoulders, curl those toes. Take a nice big inhale and exhale. Start to lift the knees off the floor, hovering here just for a breath. Coming back down to the floor. Inhale, exhale, hips lift. Inhaling down and exhaling, lift. Inhaling down and exhale, lift. And inhale all the way back down. Exhale, hover and stay here. Take a big breath in. Exhale, push those hips to the sky. Bending those knees, maybe walking those feet back, creating enough space between the hands and the feet so that we can make a nice long line from the palms all the way up to the tailbone, bending those knees however much we need to aid in this process, or maybe stepping those feet back just a little bit. Inhale, broaden up those shoulders across the back. Really reach those heels towards the floor. Reach that tailbone up to the sky and create a little bit of of space for those knees. Big inhale and a big exhale. Let's go ahead and round the spine forward. Start to round into the shoulders. Draw the belly in, rounding up into a plank. Lengthening the spine, opening the heart towards the floor, drawing the belly in, and exhale. Start to tilt those hips up and create a wave through the spine, drawing the tailbone first, and then bringing everything else into a nice long line. Inhale, exhale, rounding that spine forward into plank, and exhale, arching the spine. Feel free to skip the movement in the spine and maybe focus just on shifting into plank, shifting into downward facing dog. Arching the back, opening the heart, draw the belly in. Start to arch that lower back up and let the rest of the spine follow this movement. So leading with the tailbone, rounding the spine forward and leading with the tailbone. And cat spine forward, cow spine back up into downward facing dog. One more time, cat spine forward, and cow spine up into downward facing dog. Very nice. Let's go ahead and walk those feet up towards the top of the mat. Just as close to the hands as we can get them. Bend those knees, feet are about shoulder distance apart. Bring those hands maybe to the ankles or to the knees. And we're going to inhale and exhale. Gazing at the floor. If we feel any buildup of tension in the neck, go ahead and softly, gently shake the head side to side. Really let that spine hang heavy. Inhale here and exhale. We're going to bring our spine halfway up with our next in-breath. Hands behind those knees. Back comes up halfway. Back is flat, almost parallel to the floor. Shoulders are back. The hamstrings and glutes are engaged to help support this. It does not come straight from that lower back alone. Exhale, start forward bending, round that spine over those legs again. Walk those hands back up, inhale, engaging those glutes and hamstrings, engaging the back and the abdominals. And exhale, forward bend. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, rounding the spine over the legs. One last time. Inhale, halfway lift, just learning this movement. Exhale, forward bend. Walk those hands all the way up to standing. Rounding the spine as we make our way all the way up. Inhale, hands come overhead and down to our heart center. Inhale again. And exhale. Let's reach up to the sky. Inhale. We're going to dive over those legs. The hips are going to move back. Those knees are going to bend. We open up those arms and we start to hinge right at those hips, folding over those legs. Learning how to balance a nice solid bend at the hip with a bend in the knee and a folding of the torso over those legs. Bend those knees, hands come down under the shoulders, walk those feet back into a plank. We're going to add a nice modified push-up. Knees come down to the floor. We inhale and we exhale into a nice modified upward facing dog where we feel a little bit of a stretch through those abdominals. We're not sinking those hips all the way to the floor so we have a steady support, but we're not poking those hips up and away from the floor either. Awesome. Curl those toes and exhale. Either sit into child pose or push the hips to the sky for downward facing dog. Breathing in through the nose. Breathing out through the nose. Imagine all of our troubles just melting down the legs or melting down the arms, dripping down to the floor, washing away with each breath. Let's walk those feet to the top of the mat. We're adding our sun salutations. Moving into our halfway lift, hands come behind those knees. Inhale, or in the front of the knees. Exhale, forward bend. Coming all the way up to standing, we can walk those hands up. If we're ready, sweep the arms out to the side, engaging those glutes and hamstrings. Inhaling, maybe lifting the heart and the chest just a little bit. Exhaling to heart center. Beautiful. Inhale up Exhale, forward bend, opening the heart, hips back, knees bent, folding at the hips, hands under the shoulders, step those feet back into your plank. And this time, if we'd like, we can always take those knees to the floor to modify. If we'd like to keep those knees lifted, go for it this time. Arms stay parallel, moving onto the tops of those toes, moving onto the tops of those feet, moving into upward facing dog with an inhale. Belly is still engaged. We're on the hands and the tops of the feet. Knees are not on the floor, hips are not on the floor. So we have a little bit of support through that lower back. So we're not just pinching it there. Curl those toes, exhale, downward facing dog. Or if you'd like to take a quick break, hopping into child pose, sitting on those heels, soaking up the breath, and releasing those exhales. Let's step to the top of the mat again, gazing forward, halfway lift. Forward bend. Exhale, inhale, coming up to standing. Hands to heart center. Exhaling, inhaling, gazing up. And exhaling, forward bend. Let's step those feet back into our plank. And knees to the floor, or they stay lifted for our push-up. And exhale or inhale, depending on what suits the movement best for our bodies. Moving into downward facing dog. Exhale, press the hips to the sky. Breathing in through the nose. Breathing out through the nose. And taking a moment to release all of that tension. Let's step that right foot forward. And let's go ahead and take that left knee down to the floor. Lengthening the spine. As we step that foot forward, we start rounding the spine. So go ahead and release any rounding movements through the spine. Let's exhale, rock those hips back as far as we can go, lengthening that front leg just as far as we can. Inhale and exhale, rock those hips forward again, sinking them towards the floor. Inhale and exhale, rocking back. Inhale here, exhaling forward. Inhale here, and exhaling back. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, bend the knee. Curl those toes behind you. Plant those hands or up on fingertips. We're going to lift the knee and step that foot back into a plank. Exhale, hips to the sky. Let's take that left leg forward this time. Nice little step, foot to the floor, and the right knee moves down. Sink those hips. Inhale here. Exhale, rock those hips back, stretching that leg just as much as we can for the first time. That flexibility will come with practice, with a little warmth. Inhale, exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out, rock the hips back. Breathe in, rock those hips forward. Lengthen that spine. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale here. Exhale, rock those hips forward. Curl the toes behind you, lift your knees, step your left foot back into your plank, and push the hips to the sky. Let's step those feet to the top of the mat, little steps or big steps. Halfway lift, inhale, and exhale, forward bend. Coming up to standing, and adding in a chair. Arms stay parallel, sinking the hips down, maybe reaching the arms forward if we'd like. They can stay lifted if the shoulders and the back is open to this stay. Inhale here. And exhale. Inhale, reach for the sky. We're going to forward bend. Step those feet back into your plank. Adding your push-up. Upward facing dog. Curl the toes, downward facing dog, or child pose. And let's step it forward again. Little steps or big steps. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Come back up into your standing position, sinking into your chair. Exhale Inhale, coming back up. And exhale, forward bend. Stepping back into that plank, adding that push-up. Moving into upward facing dog, and then moving into downward facing dog. Let's move into warrior one. We're going to step that left foot forward, same way we did before. Spin that right heel in, and we're going to bring the torso up so the hands come to those hips. So we're going to skip jumping into forward bend just for now. Hands on those hips, breathing in and breathing out. If we'd like, the arms can sweep up beside those ears, planting those shoulders down, really planting down into those feet. Maybe see if you can try to create a sensation of ripping that mat apart between those feet. So really pressing those feet down a little bit farther. You'll start to feel those hamstrings and those glutes engage and work just a little bit harder. Breathing in. Try not to allow that back hip to spin out. Keep it facing forward as much as you can comfortably do. And inhale, gazing up at those hands, lifting the heart, lifting the chest. Let's spin the arms all the way around, taking them to either side of that front foot. Lift your right heel, turn the toes, knees, and hips down. Step that back foot back into a plank, adding a push-up. Inhale or exhale down, inhaling up, curl the toes, downward facing dog. Breathing in and breathing out. Right leg steps forward, spinning our left heel down, but keeping our right knee bent. And we bring those hands to the hips, lifting that torso, sinking those legs into our nice deep lunge. Arms can sweep forward if the shoulders are open to that today. Breathing in and breathing out, feeling all of our tension and stress just melting down the spine. Breathing in and breathing out. And we're going to circle. Well, let's look up first. Let's lengthen that spine. See if we can add just a centimeter of lift to the torso. Circle those arms all the way down to either side of that front leg. And lift your heel behind you. Step your right foot back into plank. Adding a push-up. Exhale. Inhale. Downward facing dog. Take a moment here. Breathing up and down the spine. Imagine each breath crashing over the spine like ocean waves, washing away all of our stress, all of our tension. Let's begin making our way forward. We're going to take that left leg forward, planting that foot deep down into the floor. Plant the balls of your right foot into the mat. Reach the right heel back. And let's slowly begin gazing forward. Hands come on top of that front leg. It's a nice deep lunge, but this is called our high lunge. So our low lunge is if we have that back knee on the floor. Now if we do need to modify today, feel free to take your right knee down to the mat, uncurl those toes, and just lift that torso here. This is a wonderful option if we need to modify. If the ankles aren't feeling it, toes aren't feeling it, that back leg's just not feeling it today. Let's bring those arms up and overhead. High lunge. Breathe in through the nose. And breathe out through the nose. Try not to sink too deeply into one side. Keep those hips even. Breathe in through the nose. And exhale. Circle those arms all the way down. We're going to, you guessed it, we're going to step that left foot back into a plank. Adding our push-up. Inhale, exhale, upward facing dog. And taking our right leg forward, keeping that left hip facing the floor, keeping the left heel lifted, planting the left balls of the feet down into the mat so we're not lifting up onto the tippy toes here. Hands come up one at a time or at the same time on top of that front leg. Very nice. Let me go ahead and sweep those arms up and overhead. Breathing in and breathing out. Releasing tension in the shoulders, tension in the rib cage, tension in the hips, tension in those leg muscles, even though they're working hard. We're gonna release. Let's circle those arms all the way down. Step that foot back into a plank. And adding our push-up. Inhale and exhale, or exhale, inhale. Curl those toes. Downward facing dog. Breathe in through the nose and release with the exhale. Let's step that left foot forward again. This time spinning our right heel in. And we're going to lift the torso and cartwheel those arms open into warrior two. So the right shoulder and the right hip pull back slightly. So we get this lovely stretch across the groin, the inner thigh. And that left knee is still pointing in the same direction as the left toes. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the nose. Open shoulders, open chest, tall, proud warriors. This is our warrior two. Both feet firmly planted into the ground, feeling both sides of the feet, feeling the front and the backs of the feet. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's close the chest and the hips to face forward. We may need to draw that back toes in just a little bit as we do this. Open up those arms and dive over that front leg. Lift your back heel, step your left foot back, add that push up. Exhale, inhale. Curl those toes, push the hips to the sky. Right leg steps forward this time. And that left heel will spin in. Arms are going to come up. We're going to kind of sweep the arms into a warrior two. Pull the left shoulder, the left hip back away from that right knee. As we do this, the right knee travels forward in a very straight line. So try not to let that knee roll in. Very nice. Broad shoulders, strong open chest. Big breaths in and out with strength and purpose centered in the throat. Strong, purposeful warriors. Peaceful, but strong. Let's go ahead, closing that circle, chest and hips facing forward. Circle those arms down to either side of your front leg. Step that foot back into a plank. We're gonna add that push-up. Exhale and inhale. Curl the toes and lift into our downward facing dog or child pose. Always an option. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's step to the top of the mat. Halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Coming up to standing. All the way, sinking into chair. Arms staying next to those ears or reaching forward. Let's wiggle those feet together. Little tiny wiggles here. Let's bring those hands together in front of our hearts. We're going to take that left elbow and place that in between those legs, twisting gently towards the right. Keeping the knees even, the hips even, adding our twist in for today. If we feel like we could go a little bit farther, we can maybe wiggle that left elbow to the outside of the right leg. And if we'd like to go a little bit farther, we can maybe extend both arms out to the sides. If we're down for a nice deep twist, if our body needs a nice gentle twist tonight, feel free to take the gentle option. Inhale and exhale, uncoil that spine. Reaching up to the sky. Since those feet are closer, we might feel a little wobbly on those feet. Exhale, down into our chair. Taking our right elbow to the inside of those legs. Spine stays long. Try not to round the rib cage. If we'd like to go a little bit farther, the hand can come, that elbow can come to the outside of the left knee. Breathing in. Breathing out, maybe extending those arms. If we'd like to go a little bit deeper tonight. Breathing in and breathing out here. Strong twist. Feeling that sweat start to build. And inhaling and exhaling. Coming back up into our standing position. Let's dive over those legs and step those feet back. One last time through our sun salutation. Exhale, inhale, and exhale, downward facing dog. Let's go ahead and just inch those feet a little bit closer towards those hands, heels to the floor. We don't have a totally flat back. The shoulders do start to move forward a little bit. Let's move on to those fingertips. Step that left foot forward, maybe 6 inches in front of your right foot. Feet are still hip distance apart, so don't cross one foot over the other, because that'll definitely be hard to balance over. We're going to walk those hands back and take pyramid just for a few breaths. Allow the spine to hang heavy over those legs. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. The arms can even walk back a little bit farther if we're comfortable taking them a little farther down. They can come back behind those hips or rest right on top of those hips. Again, trying to keep those hips even as much as we can here. And let's begin gently bending our front leg and shifting our weight off of the back leg. Walk those hands forward, maybe 6 inches in front of that left foot. We're going to lift the right leg behind us and start really engaging that left leg. We'll start to feel those hamstrings and glutes taking over here. Very nice. Now if we'd like to stay here, this is a really great option, balancing splits. If we'd like to move into half moon, this is a little bit challenging. We're going to start to taking the fingertips of the left hand to the floor, about 6 inches to 12 inches in front of the foot. We're going to start lifting that right hip and twisting the right shoulder away from the floor. I usually start by taking my hand onto my hip as I lift, and then maybe lifting that arm. My gaze is usually the last thing to move because I need something steady. As soon as I move my gaze, I usually wiggle and fall over. Just take your time with it. Half moon is challenging, but it's really fun. It can be really rewarding, really fun to kind of attempt and work on those challenging poses. So let's go ahead and face the floor again. If we did try to do our half moon, let's take that right leg down to the floor to meet the left leg. About shoulder distance apart or hip distance apart, and hang over those legs for a moment. Shake tension out of the head and the neck, nice and gently. Let those arms hang heavy, grabbing onto the ankles or the knees or the floor if that's available to us today. Closing the eyes, noticing the difference in energy between the two legs, noticing the hum of that left leg, maybe the silent whisper of the right leg. Whatever that feels like for our bodies, just make note of it. Take notice of it. Now let's take those fingertips to the floor, gazing down at the mat again. Let's step that left foot back, maybe 6 inches to 12 inches behind the right foot. And we're going to just let the spine kind of melt over that right leg so we get a very deep stretch through those hamstrings. Trying to keep both hips even, so we really want to try not to twist too much into the left or into the right hip, but stay nice and even throughout. Walk those hands forward, and we're going to move into a single leg, a standing split, or balancing just on that one leg. If you'd like to move into our half moon, move your hair over to the side. That's something that will distract you. Take that right hand and place it just a couple of inches in front of the right foot and start to lift your left hip. Start to lift that left shoulder away from the floor, and then maybe lifting the left arm and maybe turning the gaze, starting to look towards the left. You'll notice one side's probably easier than the other side. For me, that is definitely my right side. And you might even notice that maybe one side is better at this pose than the other side, depending on your day. Bring the chest and hips to face the floor again, and let's step those feet down. Step those feet to the width of the mat, and just let the torso hang between those legs. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. We can let those arms hang heavy.
They can rest on the legs. They can thread underneath the legs if we want to go a little bit farther. Deep breath in. Nice steady breath out through the nose. Walking those hands underneath those shoulders, and let's scoot those feet together. We're going to step them back one at a time into a tabletop position. Noticing what happens as we lengthen the spine here, as we release the weight from the head. It's been the lowest part of our body for a moment. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's make our way into camel pose. So we're going to move on to those knees. And for today, let's focus on half camel instead of full camel. So let's start by bringing fists behind those hips. Knees are right underneath the hips as well. Make sure they're not too wide or too close, whatever is most comfortable for us. Let's gently begin gazing up, pushing the hips forward slightly as we lean the torso back, lifting the heart, maybe gazing up and back. Now, if this feels pretty comfortable, go ahead and maybe see if we can curl the toes behind us. We're going to take the right arm down to the right heel, and we're going to lift the left arm. So this is our half camel pose with just a little bit of a twist. We have a little rotation of the rib cage, just a little bit. Feeling a lovely stretch through the shoulder, through the right side of the chest. And we can always do this with the tops of the feet on the floor. They do not have to be, the toes do not have to be curled here. Let's go ahead and exhale, begin lifting halfway, hands come back. We draw the belly in, hands come back up to those hips. Inhale, exhale, start to lean back. Let's take our left hand, either if we're curling the toes, go ahead and do that now, or if we're keeping those feet flat, stay right where you are. We're going to maybe take that left hand down to the left heel, right arm stretch up to the sky, and we lift the torso, drawing the belly in with each exhale, feeling a nice sense of length through the spine, opening through the chest and the heart. A little bit of work in the back side of the body in that we're squeezing the hips forward, we're contracting the abdominals, we're arching the back just a little bit. And inhale and exhale, bringing ourselves back up nice and tall. Very nice. Let's make our way into child pose for just a few breaths. So we've got those knees a little wider than the shoulders. Hands come down underneath the shoulders. Sitting back on those heels, walk those hands forward and allow the spine to really open and release in between those legs. Releasing all of the tension from camel pose. Breathing in and breathing out. Feeling those hips sinking a little bit deeper. Feeling the feet and the knees sinking a little bit deeper into the ground. Feeling the breath a little softer, a little longer with the exhale. Making our way onto all fours. And let's go ahead and take a seated position. We're going to do boat pose today. So since we're kind of focusing a little bit on ocean waves, fluidity of the spine, let's go ahead and sit back from the sit bones. So we find those sit bones, they're very uncomfortable to sit on. We're going to sit back onto the softer part of the seat for boat pose. Spine stays nice and tall. Move onto those tippy toes, and then maybe start to lift those legs so the shins are about parallel to the floor. Draw the abdominals in, open the heart to the sky, and maybe take those hands out from underneath those legs, balancing, feeling a nice wave, a nice flow of waves with the breath, inhaling and exhaling. A nice soft flow of energy, a nice soft flow of the breath. Nice gentle rhythm here. All the while, we have those heavy legs, those strong abdominals. Inhaling and exhaling. And staying here for another couple of breaths, just feeling the strength of the abdominals, the strength of the spine, the strength of those hip flexors. Whenever we need to, we can take those feet down. We do not have to stay here all day. Listen to your body. It's the most important person. Go ahead and take those feet to the floor. Open up those knees. Sitting up nice and tall, right over those hips. Grab onto the ankles or the feet. And folding at the hips, stretching those inner thighs. Spine stays long. The chest stays open. Heart stays open. Inhale. And exhale, feeling that lovely stretch through those legs. Let's make our way into a straddle position. We're going to open up those legs about the width of the mat or a little bit wider than your shoulders. And we're going to go ahead and just gently twist over towards the right leg, taking our left arm down either just to the ankle or the foot, or if we can thread it underneath that left leg and take it to the outside of the foot, that's great too. Opening the right side of the chest and maybe even placing the fingertips behind the ears. If we'd like, we can even open up the arms to the sky, only if this feels good. So pay attention to how the spine feels. The arms can really be anywhere they feel comfortable. We can really round into the side bend, whatever feels best for us today. Let's go ahead and come back up nice and tall. Very nice. Taking our right arm underneath or just right behind that right foot. Left arm, we're going to start twisting that left shoulder open and maybe lifting that left arm up to the sky or down behind us or fingertips behind the ears. We're bending into a little side bend here. Try not to collapse the knee. Keep the inner thigh engaged. And let's come back up nice and tall. And take a nice solid forward bend. Both legs forward. Inhale, spine is nice and tall. Bring those arms up and overhead. Exhale, begin reaching for the knees or the ankles or the toes. Feel the lower back rounding and stretching. Feel the heart and the chest staying open, but almost like bowing to the stretch. Feel the neck nice and long. Notice how the hamstrings are feeling. Notice if we need to wiggle the knees in just a little bit. Notice if we need to open the legs a little bit wider. And making our way back up into our seated position. Let's slide those feet in. We're going to round the spine all the way down to the floor. And make our way down into our supine position. We can use the hands for a little extra help getting around the spine. And we're going to plant those feet just a few inches. I'm going to scoot down just a little bit. We're planting those feet maybe 2 or 3 inches away from the hips. Hands are beside the hips. We're going to exhale. Begin lifting those hips away from the floor. Squeezing those glutes and hamstrings. Drawing the abdominals in. Broadening the shoulders. Pressing the shoulder blades down into the mat. Keeping those knees parallel. We're going to hold bridge for just a few breaths. Staying right here. Inhaling and exhaling. Imagine water running underneath that bridge. Imagine that bridge strong and steady, built of steel and iron and wood maybe. I've seen wooden bridges. I don't know exactly what bridges are made of, but they're made of strong, time-resistant materials. Materials that can stand the weathers of life, all of the stresses, the wind and the water. Imagine each breath flowing underneath the spine, in and out of the belly. Imagine that bridge, strong and steady through the ears, through each breath, through every tremble of every muscle. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. Neck stays long. Let's go ahead and begin rolling those hips down to the floor and take a moment. Heel and toe those feet out to the edges of the mat. Let those knees fall together. Feel a nice gentle stretch through the glutes, through the outer thighs. Adjust the angle of those feet so the toes can turn in slightly. If we turn them out, this may pull on the knees a little bit, so just be aware of how those knees feel. If they start to feel a little uncomfortable, lift, adjust the angle of the heels and the toes, draw the knees back together. Spine stays long. Heart is open. Let's lift those knees and heel and toe those feet back together. Bring those knees to the chest and rock side to side. Now imagine lying on the water, being tossed side to side on top of the waves or underneath those waves. Imagine a pebble being refined, being tossed underneath through the currents of the water. All of those rough bumps and edges over time being sanded away till we become a shiny, perfect pebble. Something someone can decorate an aquarium with. And coming back to the center, let's go ahead, pausing here, noticing how those legs are feeling. Taking that left foot to the floor, crossing the right ankle on top of that left knee. The right knee opens out to the side. Bring that left leg closer to the chest if that's comfortable. Feeling that stretch through those glutes, through those outer thighs, through the hips, maybe even through that lower back. Breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the nose. And taking our left foot down, uncrossing the right leg, switching sides, left ankle on top of that right leg, and bring the right leg a little bit closer, just until we feel the stretch is sufficient. Staying here and feeling all of those muscles humming and whispering and vibing, feeling the muscles being opened and lengthened. Maybe feeling some lactic acid breaking up. Let's float that foot down to the floor, uncrossing that leg. And making our way into legs up a wall pose. This is a wonderful way to end our practice with the feet being the highest part of the body and the head being the lowest. So you can elevate the hips here if you have a block. But for now, just go ahead and take right leg up, left leg up. Inhale, exhale. Spine stays long. Those legs are soft, resting right over those hips. Chest is open, almost like the shoulders are melting out to the sides. Arms are heavy. Just feel the flow of the breath in and out of the body. Feel the flow of energy as we let those feet be the highest part of the body. Feeling the flow of the energy, feeling how the energy is affected by having the head be the lowest part of the body. The head, the throat, and the heart. Noticing any parts of the body that need a little extra love as we go throughout our day and throughout our week. Making a mental note of these parts. Taking a moment to thank our bodies for all the wonderful things that they do. Taking
taking a moment to extend a word of gratitude, a word of love, or even a word of kindness towards our bodies today, or all of the above. Gently begin bending the knees, softening at the ankles, drawing the feet down to the floor, noticing any hums or vibrations happening in the feet and the ankles here. And we're going to slide those legs out, letting our toes and our feet relax and fall out to the sides, wiggling the body into a comfortable position. And we're going to place the hands on top of the belly, creating a gentle oval or egg shape or circle shape with those hands. Just imagine that shape that we've created is a boat rising and falling with the waves of the breath. Allowing our body to settle a little bit deeper into relaxation. Allowing our body to settle a little bit deeper into the floor. Breathing in and breathing out. Starting to create a nice, relaxing landscape for our breath today. Inhaling and exhaling, hearing the rush of the air in and out of the body with this breath. And imagining the inhale and the exhale as the waves of the ocean receding away from the shore, gathering up strength. And as we exhale, allow the waves to crash upon the shore, drawing the water back up with the inhale. And exhale, allow that next wave to overtake that previous breath, focusing only on the sound, the soft, gentle sighing sound in the throat. Take a moment to imagine the warm sand underneath our bodies today, supporting and almost creating a perfect shape of our body in the sand, a perfect imprint as we lay on the beach, as we listen to the waves. If we're brave, maybe we're letting the waves crash over the body. As we breathe, maybe start to fill in some other details for your personal beach. Noticing any seashells in the sand, noticing the silly call of the seagulls, noticing the sounds of the waves again, maybe the breeze, the soft ocean breeze, maybe noticing the smells, tasting the salty air. We're going to wiggle those toes, wiggle those fingers, and start to make our way up into a seated position, sliding those feet in, and either rolling onto your side, coming up to a seated position, or bringing the knees to the chest and rocking and rolling up from the floor. Bringing our hands to our heart center for a moment, closing the eyes,
nodding the chin to the chest. And taking a moment again, if we missed the opportunity earlier, to extend a word of gratitude and love and kindness toward our bodies today. This can be something as simple as the word itself. This can be something a little more profound or a little more expanded on something specific to your body or something specific to what you've been thinking about lately in your practice or in your personal life. This can be spiritual encouragement or physical encouragement. Whatever it is we most need to hear today, something maybe that stood out to us as we browsed Pinterest or something like that. If nothing specific comes to mind, go ahead and join me for a gentle body positivity affirmation. Inhale and exhale. I am strong. You can repeat this verbally out loud or just inside your head. I am strong. I am healthy. My body is the vessel of my magic. I am capable of handling any challenge I may face. I am strong. I am healthy. My body is the vessel of my magic, or my passion, or my spirit, and I am capable of handling any challenge that I am approached with. Go ahead and breathe in through the nose and exhale to allow these words to sink into the muscles and to fade into the back of our minds. And we can use this as we go throughout our day, or we can let this rest and just let it be for now. Let's go ahead and raise the arms, breathing in together. Hands come down to our heart. Exhaling, and namaste. Thank you again, and I will see you next week with another class. Feel free to leave me any suggestions or anything that's specific that you would like to work on in your practice, and I'll be sure to cover it in our next class. In the meantime, have a wonderful week, and thank you again.